Welcome to Fuel Her Awesome, the nutrition pep talk to supercharge your week. I'm Jess, registered dietitian and empowered eating coach, here to help you take your health to that next level. In these bite-sized episodes, we cut right through the noise and blend science with biofeedback and values, all while teaching you how to trust your intricately and beautifully designed body. Because here's the deal, you are awesome, and life is an invitation to show up that way. But you can't do it without food. So let's lean in as we explore how to fuel your awesome with empowered eating.
Hey, friend, I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to a new day and a new Fuel Her Awesome podcast. We are going to be diving into something a little bit different today. The last few months, we have been doing empowered eating pep talks where I've really been breaking down the 3 layers of empowered eating. But because we've had so many new listeners, I had to just go back to what is empowered eating and what's the framework, because I don't want you to miss a single piece of it. So if you've been here for a long time, consider this like your inventory. So we'll go through these 5 parameters of empowered eating, and I want you to listen and celebrate the parts you are already doing. Take note, take it in, give yourself a pat on the back, because how often do we actually celebrate the amazing things that we do? But if you're new here, this is going to be a great opportunity for you to get that really foundational piece of empowered eating. And here's the thing, guys, I've been a dietitian for about 17 years now, and I've been talking about empowered eating for 10. And every time I come back to this foundation, I learn something new about myself. So again, whether you are an expert or a novice here, there is something I know you are going to take away, because there just always is. We're always learning, right? Hey, but before we dive into that, I do want to thank you. Some of you took the time last week. I'd love to review. We've had so many new listeners this year, which has been so cool. But I had no reviews for their gear. And so some of you actually paused, left me a word of encouragement. And I want you to know I saw that. Thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And if you didn't get a chance to do so, I would love for you to just pause for a second and leave a review for the show. It really helps the show out, helps us spread the word. And yeah, just know that I am so grateful for that. Okay, so we are going to dive into the 5-step framework to become an empowered eating queen. And like I said, as we go through, I want you to celebrate where you are doing awesome and where there might be opportunity for growth. Let's just lean in and consider this an invitation to grow and stretch. So step number 1, the very first step, and I do this with every single client that comes into my office or comes into my Zoom chat, we have to redefine health on our own terms. Forget what your cousin's keto coach says. We are building a version of health that actually feels good to you and aligns with your values, not someone else's food rules, not what worked for somebody else. This is values work. Now, oftentimes when people come into the work with me, I'll ask them, have you done values work before, or is this a new concept? And for many of you, this is a new concept. But in short, essentially what it is naming what you value most right now in your world. What is it that, when you look at your day, if you check these boxes, lets you know you are on the right track? Oftentimes, I think these could be put into some categories sometimes it's connection and community. That might be a major category, and there's different words we can pull from that category. Sometimes it might be relationships, and that might be family and friendships or the people you're serving. Sometimes it might be impact that you value, like wanting to do more with your body and your life. So again, lots of words we can pull from that. And sometimes the value is comfort. A lot of times people think that's a bad thing, but it's actually not. How I understand that value is that you value feeling good in your present day to day rhythm. My husband, one of his top values is comfort. He's a 9 on the Enneagram. He likes things to feel good. And that's a wonderful thing. But these are important to name, because as you step into your health journey, if we don't name it, you're just trying to follow someone else's blueprint. And that can be really dangerous. That's why people get so frustrated. I just met with a girl who's been trying to meal prep, and she said, I know I need to. It's just excuses. And I said, hold the phone. Like, let's remove the judgment because this works. You would feel better if you did it. But now you're judging yourself, saying you just have reasons and excuses as to why not to. Instead of judging yourself, like, let's actually define why it's not working. Maybe it's not in alignment with what you value. And sure enough, as we dove into the conversation, she realized she really values fun. And so she felt like meal prepping wasn't fun. Like, it was just making a carb, a protein, and a veggie that didn't taste, it tasted okay, but it wasn't like this delicious, fun giving meal. And so we were able to then rework fun into how she meal preps with music, and she bought a cute apron, just adding some of her value into the work she knows she wants and needs to do to take care of herself. So this redefining health and doing the values work is so, so powerful. And we can do a lot with this. And the best part about this is one of my favorite parts about empowered eating, is that there are unexpected outcomes when you do values work. This goes far beyond just your meal plan. It goes into how you walk in your day to day. So going back to the gal with the meal prep, the conversation we had about integrating fun into her meal planning also it spiraled into how she integrates fun into going to work, talking with her friends, going for a walk. I mean, these are core values that they shouldn't just shape our health. They really shape our whole life. And so the cool part is when we invite them into our health journey, there's this greater invitation to do more in our life and live more in alignment with our values overall. So I love that. The unexpected outcomes of becoming an empowered eater is you become an empowered, I always want to say empowered liver. That is terrible grammar. You become someone who lives in an empowered way all around. Okay, step number 2, ditch the drama. We're going to keep the confidence. Here's where we really need to detox and unlearn old narratives. The reality is we have a story in our head, and that story has told us how to care for, see our body, treat our body, and there has to be a period of undoing. And I think this really speaks to something new I've been integrating into the work with one-on-one clients, and that's really learning to regulate our nervous system. So I'm going to go over this like pretty big picture pretty quickly, but if this sparks your interest, let's talk about it. Come see me one-on-one because we can dive in a lot deeper. But you have 2 nervous systems. You have your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. So 2 different nervous systems here. The parasympathetic nervous system is like your rest and digest process. This is like the recovery and the healing. Your sympathetic is sympathetic to all the things going on around you. So this is often deemed our fight or flight nervous system. This is the one that is activated when there is a perceived threat. And when it comes to how we've cared for our body, oftentimes we have a history of caring for our body from a state of chronic deprivation, of criticism, of hyper control. And when we've been in that sympathetically activated nervous system space for so long, even healthy steps, even healthy changes can start to feel unsafe to us. So like if you set a goal to eat a balanced meal or to take a short walk, like these quote little, because they're not little, but like air quotes little steps, your nervous system might not register it as progress because you're used to stress, you're used to urgency, you're used to restriction, you're used to pressure. Guys, this is why I am so big on celebrating wins. I am a huge cheerleader for the clients I work with. And for a while there, folks were looking at me going, oh, yeah, right, Jess, this isn't that big of a deal. But it is a big deal because when we are teaching our brain that these are wins, we're actually rewriting our nervous system. When we don't do that, what happens is we start making changes. We don't celebrate the wins. And when you don't see immediate physical changes, your brain says, this isn't working. I'll never get there. I have to go back to what I was doing before. Or on the flip side, if you do see changes, your brain might say, don't get too comfortable. You're going to lose it. What if the progress doesn't last? Now I'm going to have to be even more rigid to keep going. Like this is the flip side of the same coin. Struggling to hold space for growth because it feels unfamiliar or even unsafe is a very real thing. So progress, without that pressure, or progress without that urgency or restriction or stress, it can be disorienting to the body because it's so used to that nervous system being activated. Here's the reset. We have to unlearn that narrative, and we unlearn it by celebrating the wins. This is where your nervous system healing meets empowered eating. When we pause to notice and choose to celebrate, we're building this new pattern, one that doesn't require stress. It doesn't require urgency to make us feel like we're doing something right. It just lets us move through and keep going. So this is a big reset and this is a big shift, but a huge part of the empowered eating journey. Okay, so we've got step 1, redefine health on your own terms. Step 2, we have to ditch the drama, keep the confidence by regulating our nervous system and celebrating the wins. Step number 3 is get smart with your signals. We have to learn biofeedback. You guys hear me talk a lot about biofeedback. And recently I had someone ask me, Jess, what makes biofeedback different? Like, I am drawn to that word, but I don't fully understand it. And here's what makes biofeedback so powerful. Biofeedback is information that your body gives you. It's beyond just how you feel. Are you hungry? Are you full? It is information. And there's 3 classes of biofeedback that we look at. The first class we talk a lot about on the podcast, and that is actually your physical biofeedback. So this is going to be your hunger, your fullness cues, your energy levels, your cravings, your headaches, changes to your bowel movements, the poop report. You'll know I love talking about that. Any GI discomfort, bloating, sleep quality, skin, hair, nail changes, temperature changes, even cycle shifts are going to be a physical biofeedback marker. These are all signals that help you respond in the moment to what your body is truly asking for. I think of physical biofeedback like your body knocking on your brain door saying, hey, like, let's reconnect. Let's work together because we're not actually separate. So it's that initial reconnection. And this is actually what a lot of intuitive eating hits on, is they call it interoceptive awareness, where we actually like tune into what our body is saying. But I think biofeedback actually goes beyond just that. We also have emotional biofeedback and clinical biofeedback. So emotional biofeedback, these are signals that tell you how your body, mind, and spirit are integrating with your choices. This class, I think it's often overlooked. It can be subtle, but it includes our intuition, our mood, emotional responses that really reflect a deeper alignment or even misalignment with your body and your lifestyle. So this might be anxiety, overwhelm, irritability, brain fog, emotional eating, emotional suppression, feelings of numbness or disconnection. Guys, these are all signals. And this type of biofeedback is something that we have to still tune into, because if we're looking at fully integrating our mind and our body, which is what we're doing with empowered eating, we can't assume the two are separate. Like, what goes on in our head and our feelings and our heart, like, that matters to our body. And so we need to listen to it. The most common way I see this show up is folks talking to me about how they crave something sweet at the end of the day. And we dive into that. What it might be is they're craving something for themselves. You know, after a long day of serving others and giving to others, they're wanting something to give to themselves to recharge their battery, and food is the most convenient thing. And so that manifests in the form of ice cream. So that is how emotional biofeedback really shows up. And these are so powerful. These conversations really run deep, and there's a lot of healing here. So then the third type of biofeedback is going to be clinical biofeedback. And this is where I have a lot of fun, because we look at these physical signals and markers to provide data-driven confirmation of patterns that you are either feeling or maybe need some more insight on. It really gives us something tangible to look at. So this would be things like blood sugar, heart rate variability, blood pressure, lab work. And my new favorite things to do is including GI mapping, looking at hormone balance, looking at mineral balance through a hair tissue mineral test. So there's all these clinical markers that we can run just to get more insight as to what is happening inside your body. So cool. So the biofeedback realm, this really is step 3. This is tuning into our body on those 3 different levels, checking in. How am I doing physically? How is my emotional regulation, and how can I up my emotional intelligence to learn more about what my body is trying to tell me? And then what are some of the clinical markers that I need to look into to help me make changes to my nutrition? It's so cool. What I love about all of this is it's working with your body. Like, we're not just doing something that we pass out like candy to everyone. We're actually looking at your body and figuring out what your body needs and how to best support it. Okay, step number 4. This is the one everybody wants. This is the fuel plan. And I think it really comes later on in the equation because we have to do those things first. And then we can actually dive into a nutrition plan that is custom crafted for you. I have to tell you, we're living in this era of programs and automation. And I've worked with a bunch of coaches that often tell me, Jess, you got to automate things, which I value. Yes, I have to learn how to automate. But the one thing I cannot automate in my business model, and I never will, is writing a meal plan for somebody because everybody's so unique. I mean, if you just wanted your macros, go on ChatGPT. ChatGPT can crank out your macros for you, no problem. But what people need, and what I know I need, and what I imagine you need, is something that meets your biofeedback cues, both the physical, the emotional, the clinical. It looks at your lifestyle, your rhythm, your fears, your goals. Like, that is not something that can just be flippantly tossed out in macros. And so this is where we will dive in a bit deeper, but actually building a plan that was made for you is so powerful. And it's amazing. I mean, budgets aren't cookie cutter because everybody has different bills, different goals, different incomes. The same is true for your fuel plan. Okay, let's talk about the last and final step, which is actually doing it. This is where you take steps 1 through 4 and we step out, show up, and we live empowered eating. We have to take action. We have to try. We have to say what we want and go after it. And you know what? That can be terrifying. Sometimes even being honest with yourself that you want to take action in this arena of life is really hard because it opens you up to vulnerability. Especially if you've been down this road many times before and nothing has worked, or you feel like you've failed every time. If you say you want to go after getting more fit or understanding your nutrition or running the half marathon, like whatever it is, if you say you want it, it opens you up because there's a chance you won't get it. And that's really hard. That's really hard. I had a coach last year who told me, you have to fail trying, Jess, because failing by not acting is the regret you will carry. And when he told me that, I kind of laughed. I said, I don't know about that. If I fail, I'm not sure I feel like it's worth it. Like, I don't want to do this if there's a chance I could fail. And I'll never forget this. He just kind of chuckled and said, that's why you've got friends like me and your husband and your sisters and your family. They're all in your corner because 1, we know you won't fail. And 2, when you stumble, because you will, we'll be right there with you. And that was so giving to me. And I think if you take anything away from this outline of empowered eating, it's this. It's okay to name what you want and how you want to live in your body. It's the one thing that's been entrusted to you your entire life. And if you can boldly and vulnerably name what it is you want to do with that body and how you want to live in that body, it's not a matter of whether you'll be able to do it or succeed or will you fail. It's how will you work this into your life and who is around you to help you for when it doesn't go as exactly as planned, because it won't. I'm 40 years old and I still have to remind myself that it is okay to take up space physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, digitally, like all of the places. It's okay to take up space. And I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but I think this is important. So hang here with me for a sec. This is a big conversation, but let's just talk about taking up space physically. There is an old narrative in me that still whispers like it is not okay to take up space. In simple terms, if we look at the physical, this would mean like taking up more physical space, weight gain equals fat equals failure. I think that belief runs really deep. It's been reaffirmed by our culture, maybe from the boy in middle school, maybe from bullies, maybe from friends, from parents. We've had this story that taking up physical space and taking up more physical space is not safe, it's dangerous, and we don't deserve it. Here's a little bit of personal information. Right now, I weigh more than I ever have. Outside of pregnancy, this is the highest weight I've ever been. And if I'm totally honest with you guys, when I see that number, it's not the same reaction because I'm in a different place now, but my brain still wants to go there. Like my brain still wants to see that higher number and say, oh, this is bad. It's creeping up. But here's what I know. The new me, the present day me. I know that I feel better. I know that I carry more muscle. I know that I am in a post-baby perimenopausal body. And I'm in a season of life where I have bigger responsibilities and less time to train in the gym like I used to. Those are realities. And you know what? That's okay. I'm learning to take up space in a new way. Because when I actually back up and I go back to step one, which is looking at my values, when I look at those values, I see that I am living in alignment with them. I am showing up for my family and my faith, for impact. So this space that I'm physically taking up, it's actually a really good thing. But here's where it gets a little bit deeper. And I'm wondering if this is going to hit home with you too. It's not just about physical space. When that narrative is still lingering, there's an underlying thought there that I shouldn't take up space with my needs in general. So this might show up like, I shouldn't carve out time for my workouts. That's selfish. I shouldn't buy the new pair of jeans. I already have some and I don't need to spend the money. The subtext there is that I shouldn't take up space in our budget. This list goes on, but here's what I want you to know and what I'm still learning, even as I'm about to turn 40. We are allowed to take up space. I am allowed to take up space. You are allowed to take up space. And when we rewrite this narrative and we make it safe for our nervous system, for our brain, for our body to take up space, it broadens the capacity at which we can serve. It helps us live out those values that we named in step one at a greater capacity. And I get to see this every single day in the women I get to work with. It is so cool to not only feel it in my own journey, but witness it over and over. That when you decide to step up and be fully present in your body, to take care of it, to decide to take up space with it, suddenly you are showing up more present in everything you do. It is absolutely unbelievable to see. And one of the things that actually really helps me out with this is I will picture, like if I'm struggling to take up space in an area of my life, like I'm setting a new goal, I'm naming what I want and it feels scary. I imagine, what if one of my kids were coming to me with this? You know, what if one of my boys said, Mama, I really want this and I don't know how to get it. Well, actually, one of my kiddos did this the other day. I think I shared a couple weeks ago that we've been working on soccer tryouts in our home. And my boy came to me and said, Mama, I want to get better at soccer. Guys, I didn't look at him and say, that's a far out dream. I'm sorry, we don't have any time for that. I'm sorry, we're too busy. No, I was thrilled that he had an interest in something. And we set up a schedule to work on his skills and looked at YouTube videos together. We set up a goal in his backyard. Like I went all in on how I could help him get better at his soccer skills. Why are we not worthy of that same love that we give to someone else? So if you're still learning to take up space like me, I want you to know you're not alone. And we're doing this together. We're in this together. And I do think it is worth the work. I really do. What my coach told me last year, like we got to fail trying and we're going to surround ourselves with people who believe in us and who will pick us up when we struggle. Okay. Oh, I went off on a total tangent there. I guess I've been really feeling that lately. I just wanted to talk about it. But ultimately, like that is step 5, is owning this work we've laid out, what is important to us in our values. getting rid of the old narrative, listening to what our body has to say, taking hold of our nutrition and our physical health, and not apologizing for taking care of ourselves, and not apologizing for it because it actually expands our capacity to live a bigger, more impactful, sparkly, wonderful, giving life. And that's what we're here for. It's something that I think we all deserve to honor. All right, there you have it. 5 steps to empowered eating. Big stuff here. We crushed that in a quick podcast, but I know that is a deeper conversation. So if you are feeling like you want to dive in deeper, guys, let me know. Shoot me a message. You can respond to the emails that are sent out about this. You can drop me a DM on Instagram, or I would love to work with you one-on-one. You can find some links in the show notes to learn more about that. My friend, I love you. I'm so glad you're here. I want you to know you deserve to take up space. Keep me posted. Cheers and happy eating.
That's a wrap on today's Empowered Eating Pep Talk. If this hits home, be sure to leave a review and share it on your social media, tagging me at Jess Brown RD. And girl, if you're ready to take your nutrition and mindset to that next level, I would love to get to know you more. Head on over to jessbrownrd.com to explore things like the Well-Fueled Academy, one-on-one coaching, and all the free resources I have to help you live, eat, and fuel your awesome. Until next time, sister, have an amazing day. Cheers and happy eating.